Have you ever wondered what happens to towns when the people leave but the stories stay behind? Across the United States, ghost towns stand as eerie reminders of booming industries, failed dreams, and forgotten histories. In this video, we're uncovering 10 of the most fascinating ghost towns in America, places frozen in time, where the echoes of the past linger in every abandoned building and empty street. Get ready to explore the haunting beauty of these forgotten communities. First stop on our ghost town road trip, Bodie, California. This place is like walking onto the set of an old Western film, except the cameras stopped rolling a long time ago. See, Bodie was once a bustling gold mining town, overflowing with prospectors, saloons, and, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly known for its peaceful meditation retreats. But when the gold dried up, so did the population, leaving behind a shell of its former glory. Today, Bodie is a perfectly preserved time capsule. You can practically hear the echoes of saloon doors swinging and spurs clinking on wooden sidewalks. It's kind of beautiful, in a melancholic, what could have been kind of way. And hey, who knows, maybe those echoes are more than just our imaginations. Some say the spirits of Bodie's past residents never quite left. Now, I'm not saying I believe in ghosts, but there's something undeniably eerie about wandering through Bodie's empty buildings. You can almost feel the presence of the people who once called this place home. They say that if you take anything from Bodie, even a small rock, you'll be cursed with bad luck. I mean, I'm not superstitious, but I'm also not taking any chances. Better safe than sorry, right? Plus, I don't need any more bad juju in my life. I'm already cursed with terrible taste in hats, according to a certain someone. I won't name names, but he knows who he is. Anyway, curse or no curse, Bodie is a must-see for anyone fascinated by the Wild West or just creepy abandoned places in general. From the Wild West, we're heading east to Centralia, Pennsylvania. Now, this town has a different kind of story, one that's a little less Wild West and a little more, well, on fire. Seriously. You see, Centralia sits atop a network of coal mines. And back in 1962, a fire started in one of those mines. No big deal, right? Wrong. That fire never went out. It's been burning underground for over 60 years, turning Centralia into a modern-day Pompeii. The government evacuated most of the town in the 80s, deeming it too dangerous to live in. The ground is hot, the air is smoky, and there's always the risk of sinkholes opening up and swallowing you whole. Fun times. But a few residents refuse to leave their homes, and they still live in Centralia to this day. Talk about stubborn, right? Or maybe they just really like the smell of sulfur in the morning. Now, the creepiest part of Centralia has got to be Graffiti Highway. See, a chunk of Route 61 that ran through town had to be abandoned because, you guessed it, the ground was literally melting. And what do people do with abandoned highways? They cover them in graffiti, of course. So now you've got this long stretch of cracked asphalt, swallowed by nature and covered in spray paint, leading directly into the heart of a ghost town. It's like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, except it's real and it's happening in Pennsylvania. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to spend a night there, armed with nothing but a flashlight and my trusty EMF reader, but I'm also not saying I'd be thrilled about it. Let's just say, I've seen enough horror movies to know how this usually ends. Alright, sit tight, because we're headed to Rhyolite, Nevada. Back in time, it's 1904, the gold rush is in full swing, and Rhyolite is the booming epicenter of it all. We're talking a bustling little town with over 10,000 people, electric lights, fancy, a stock exchange, and even a couple of opera houses. You know, for those refined desert-dwelling folk. But like a lot of these boom towns, Rhyolite went bust almost as fast as it boomed. By 1920, it was a ghost town, literally. So what's left? Well, mostly crumbling buildings baking under the desert sun. But those crumbling buildings? They're full of stories, and probably some ghosts too. Let's be real, you don't just have that many people disappear without leaving a few spirits behind. One of the big stories you hear about Rhyolite is the story of the three-shift Molly ghost. Now, miners back then worked in shifts, right? Well, legend has it that Molly was so devoted to her miner husband that she'd visit him during each of his 3 shifts. Like, talk about dedication, right? But here's the catch. Most versions of the story end with Molly's husband dying in a mining accident. So, was she a devoted wife or just really bad at keeping track of her husband's schedule? Either way, people claim to still see Molly wandering the ruins of Rhyolite, maybe looking for her lost love, or maybe just trying to remember which shift he's working. Next up, we're heading to the Rocky Mountains to a little ghost town called St. Elmo, Colorado. Now, unlike some of these other ghost towns, St. Elmo isn't completely abandoned. There are a few hardy souls who still call this place home, though I use the term home loosely. I mean, there's no electricity, no running water. It's basically roughing it, but like on purpose. But hey, who needs modern conveniences when you've got stunning mountain views and the ghosts of prospectors past keeping you company, right? And trust me, St. Elmo has plenty of ghost stories. This place was once a bustling mining town, full of saloons, hotels, and of course, gold mines. One of the most haunted spots in St. Elmo is supposedly the old town hall and jailhouse. They say the former sheriff still likes to make his presence known by slamming doors and moving objects around. You know, typical ghost stuff. I guess even in the afterlife, some folks just can't let go of their jobs. Then there's the story of Annabelle, a young girl who tragically died in a fire at the hotel. Visitors and residents alike have reported seeing her ghost, often described as a playful presence, flitting through the building. Look, I don't know about you, but the idea of a ghost girl playing pranks in an abandoned hotel? That's way creepier than any sheriff slamming doors. Okay, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading south to Cahaba, Alabama. Now, Cahaba's got a unique claim to fame, even among ghost towns. You see, it was once the capital of Alabama. Yeah, you heard that right. This place was once a bustling center of government and commerce. But then the good old Alabama River decided to intervene. Flooding became a major problem, and eventually the state capital was moved to somewhere less flood-prone. So Cahaba was left to the mercy of the river and, you guessed it, the ghosts. Now all that's left are crumbling streets, overgrown cemeteries, and the faint echoes of a bygone era. It's the kind of place that makes you want to put on your explorer hat and bust out your EMF reader. One of the most well-known stories from Cahaba is the tale of the ghost of the yellow rose. Legend has it that a young woman, heartbroken after losing her love, roams the ruins dressed in a yellow gown. Some say she's searching for her lost love, while others believe she's simply unable to find peace in the afterlife. Either way, it's a classic ghost story: love, loss, and a lingering presence that just won't quit. But Cahaba's got more than just heartbroken ghosts. There are also tales of Civil War soldiers still marching through the woods, their ghostly muskets glinting in the moonlight. I mean, with a history as rich and tumultuous as Cahaba's, it's no surprise that there are a few restless spirits hanging around. Next stop is Jerome, Arizona, a town literally perched precariously on the side of a mountain. See, Jerome was once this bustling copper mining hub, back when miners had a serious thing for digging holes in the earth and hoping for the best. But like all good things, the boom eventually went bust, leaving Jerome a shell of its former glory. Now it's a magnet for tourists. And you guessed it, those who like to hang out after they've checked out permanently. I mean, you can practically smell the ghost stories clinging to the old buildings. Imagine saloons filled with rowdy miners, shootouts at high noon, and maybe even a few ghostly prospectors still searching for that elusive vein of copper. Speaking of ghosts, we gotta talk about the Jerome Grand Hotel, a place that was once a hospital. I know what you're thinking: hospitals, prime real estate for restless spirits. You'd be right. This place has seen it all: injuries, illnesses, maybe even a few mining disasters gone wrong, so naturally some folks say those poor souls never really checked out. Guests have reported all sorts of spooky stuff: disembodied voices, flickering lights, the works. Some even claim to have encountered a mysterious woman in black, wandering the halls. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw a spectral lady in mourning attire, I'd probably be asking for a room upgrade, or maybe just a one-way ticket out of town. Next up, we're braving the Texas heat and heading to Terlingua, a town that's basically synonymous with desolate. But don't let the dust and tumbleweeds fool you. This place has a history as rich and strange as a prospector who actually struck it rich. Back in the day, Terlingua was all about quicksilver, that's mercury to you and me, and people flocked there hoping to get their hands on the liquid metal. Of course, mining anything is tough work, and life in Terlingua was rougher than a 3-day-old burrito. But hey, at least those miners had each other, right? That is, until the quicksilver ran dry and Terlingua became a ghost town practically overnight. The buildings were abandoned, left to bake under the relentless Texas sun. But some say the spirits of those miners stuck around. Maybe they just liked the peace and quiet. Now, Terlingua might be mostly abandoned, but it's not completely deserted. Every year, folks gather for the Terlingua International Chili Championship. That's right, chili, apparently it's a big deal out there. But imagine stirring your pot of award-winning chili and feeling a cold spot, or maybe even hearing the faint clinking of pickaxes. Just a thought. And hey, if you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of the ghostly goat man said to roam the hills. What's a goat man, you ask? Your guess is as good as mine, friend. But in a place like Terlingua, anything's possible. Alright, let's trade the desert heat for something a little more chilling. We're heading north, way north, to Kennecott, Alaska. Now this place is about as remote as it gets, nestled in the mountains surrounded by glaciers. It's like something out of an icy, post-apocalyptic movie, only without the zombies, hopefully. Back in the early 1900s, Kennecott was a copper mining boomtown. They even built this massive mill, a testament to human ingenuity and probably some questionable labor practices, but copper, like all good things, eventually runs out. And when it did, Kennecott became a ghost town, its buildings left to brave the harsh Alaskan winters. Today, Kennecott is a National Historic Landmark, attracting adventurous tourists and, you guessed it, ghost hunters. And who can blame them? The place is practically oozing with eerie vibes. Imagine wandering through the abandoned buildings, the wind howling through the broken windows, the only sound besides the crunching of snow under your feet. Some say you can still hear the echoes of the miners, the clang of machinery, the shouts of foremen, and maybe, just maybe, if you listen closely enough, you might hear the mournful howl of a ghostly sled dog, forever waiting for its master to return from the icy wilderness. Alright, we're about to hit a ghost town that straddles a state line. That's right, Glen Rio sits half in Texas and half in New Mexico, which must have been real convenient for tax purposes, or maybe just confusing. Imagine telling people you live in two states at once. This dusty old town was once a bustling stop on Route 66, back when folks were cruising around in their fancy new automobiles. You know, back when gas cost like a nickel, and people actually talked to each other instead of just staring at their phones. But like a lot of places along the Mother Road, Glen Rio fell on hard times when the interstate system came along. People wanted to get where they were going faster, and who can blame them? I mean, have you ever driven through the desert? It's pretty, but it's also a whole lot of nothing. So, Glen Rio dried up faster than a puddle in Death Valley. But hey, at least it left behind some pretty sweet ghost town vibes, right? Now, Glen Rio might not have a ton left standing, but what is there is pretty darn cool. This ghost town, once a bustling stop along Route 66, now stands as a haunting reminder of days gone by. You got your abandoned gas stations, your crumbling motels, and even a few old diners that look like they could tell 1,000 stories. There's even a motel with a zoo. Well, sort of. Okay, maybe not a real zoo, but they did have some cages with animals in them back in the day. Imagine the travelers who stopped by to see the exotic creatures while on their journey. And let's not forget the State Line Bar, a place with a unique twist. This bar is literally split down the middle by the Texas-New Mexico border. One foot in Texas, the other in New Mexico. Can you imagine the bar fights that must have broken out there? A brawl that starts in Texas and ends in New Mexico? You're drinking in Texas, buddy, so watch your mouth. The atmosphere must have been electric, with patrons from two states mingling under one roof. It's the kind of place that makes you want to grab a dusty old camera and start snapping pictures, capturing the eerie beauty of the abandoned town. Or maybe grab a microphone and start investigating for EVPs. The silence here is almost deafening, perfect for ghost hunting. You never know what kind of restless spirits might still be hanging around, whispering their stories into the wind, mourning the loss of their beloved Route 66, the highway that once brought life to this now desolate place. So, if you're ever road tripping down Route 66 and you're feeling brave, why not make a pit stop in Glen Rio? It's a detour worth taking. Explore the remnants of a bygone era and let your imagination run wild. Just, maybe bring some hand sanitizer. You never know what kind of germs are lurking in those old buildings. Those ghost town restrooms haven't been cleaned in a while. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to step back in time to the Wild West. Imagine dusty streets, wooden buildings, and the distant sound of a harmonica playing a lonesome tune. No, not the amusement park kind, the real deal. We're talking about a place where history isn't just remembered, it's lived. Silver City, Idaho, is a preserved silver mining town that's basically a living museum. It's like stepping into a time capsule from the 1800s. Well, maybe not living in the literal sense, what with all the ghosts and all. The eerie silence and abandoned buildings give it a spooky charm. This place boomed in the late 1800s thanks to silver. The discovery of silver veins turned this town into a bustling hub almost overnight. People flocked here hoping to strike it rich, and some of them actually did. Prospectors came with dreams of wealth, and for a lucky few, those dreams came true. But just like a prospector's luck, the boom went bust, leaving behind a handful of hardy souls and a whole lot of history. The once thriving town slowly faded, but its stories remained. Walking through Silver City is like stepping onto the set of an old Western movie, except it's real, and there's probably less yelling. The authenticity of the place is palpable. You got your wooden sidewalks, your old-timey saloons, and even a few buildings that look like they haven't been touched since Wyatt Earp was a boy. It's a slice of history frozen in time. And don't even get me started on the stories. Every corner of this town has a tale to tell. This place is practically overflowing with tales of gunfights, gold rushes, and maybe even a few ghosts. The legends and lore are as rich as the silver that once flowed from its mines. Now I know what you're thinking. You said this place was a preserved town, not an abandoned one. And you're right, it is technically still inhabited. But there's more to the story. This town, with its quaint charm and rustic buildings, still has a heartbeat, albeit a faint one. The few residents who call this place home add a touch of life to the otherwise still surroundings. But trust me, with a population smaller than a high school graduating class, it's got its fair share of ghost town vibes. The streets are often empty, and the silence can be almost deafening. Plus, the folks who do live here year-round are pretty adamant about the place being haunted. They share stories passed down through generations, tales of eerie encounters and unexplained phenomena. They say the spirits of the miners still linger, searching for that elusive vein of silver that'll make them rich beyond their wildest dreams. These miners, who toiled day and night, left an indelible mark on the town's history. Some even say they've seen shadowy figures lurking in the old buildings, or heard the faint clinking of pickaxes echoing through the empty streets at night. The atmosphere here is thick with mystery and a touch of the supernatural. Hey, maybe those ghosts are onto something. Maybe there's still a fortune in silver just waiting to be unearthed. The allure of hidden treasure continues to captivate the imagination of many. The old mines, now silent, once buzzed with activity and hope. Perhaps deep within their depths lies the key to untold riches. So, if you're feeling adventurous and you've got a hankering for some genuine Wild West history, mosey on down to Silver City. This town is a living museum, a testament to a bygone era. Just keep an eye out for any spectral prospectors. Their presence adds an eerie charm to the town, making every visit a unique experience. They might try to get you to help them find their lost treasure. Who knows, you might just stumble upon a piece of history or even a hidden fortune. These places may be abandoned, but their stories continue to captivate and remind us of the ever-changing nature of history. I know you enjoyed this video, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next adventure. Until next time, keep exploring and uncovering the mysteries of the past.